recently spent a day exploring our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to take you along to see what we saw as we walked around town. We're going to check out some important historical buildings and major monuments and memorials. And the best part is, everything we see today is free. We are starting in the National Archives, where we will see some of our nation's founding documents with our own eyes. Admission is free, as we previously stated. However, you can get timed tickets in advance online, so you don't have to wait in line so long. These advance tickets are only $1 per person. You can still enter for free, but on crowded days, people who paid the $1 per person are guaranteed entry at their time listed on the ticket, and everyone else will be waiting in a long line. Up first, we take a look at the Declaration of Independence, where the 13 American colonies declared themselves free from British rule. Then we get a good look at the Constitution of the United States, which set up our federal government with its separation of powers among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Next up is the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, limiting the power of government and listing fundamental freedoms that the government is to preserve, including freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and the right to bear arms. You can even see the original Emancipation Proclamation signed by President Lincoln and the Secretary of State, which freed the enslaved people of the southern states, though it wasn't easily enforced until the Union won the Civil War. There are some historical exhibits in the rotunda with details about the documents you are viewing and about the 2 large murals on the walls of the rotunda. Since we were at the National Archives anyway, we also checked out a new permanent exhibit called The American Story. This was really interactive. You provide information about the type of documents and the parts of history that you're most interested in, and then AI selects information to provide to you along the way, so your experience will be a bit different from other people in the exhibit at the same time, as their tour may focus on other highlights from the more than 2 million historical documents in the National Archives. The exhibit features more than 40 historical artifacts and immersive media to cover topics such as the founding of the United States, the difficult crises that we faced since our founding, and the contributions and inventions of Americans of all backgrounds that made us who we are today.
While we are discussing our nation's founding, we want to tell you about our visit to a memorial that we had never seen before. It was the signers of the Declaration of Independence Memorial. On an island tucked away in Constitution Gardens that doesn't typically draw big crowds, you can see this monument to all 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, organized by which American colony they represented. "56 blocks are arranged in a semicircle, and each one bears a carving of the actual signature of one of the signers, along with their name, hometown, and occupation. This was a fitting way to remember the men who pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor for the cause of freedom. As we walked from monument to monument, we passed a festival called Fiesta Asia, which had some Asian art, culture, and foods on display. When we visit DC in the spring and summer, we often find ourselves walking through some type of festival or block party, and we enjoyed taking in a bit of this festival before moving on. Next, we pass the U.S. Capitol building. You can take a free tour of the Capitol by signing up online at the address on your screen. When you get to the building, follow the signs to the Capitol Visitors Center. The entrance to the Visitors Center is actually underneath the Capitol building on the east side. The Visitors Center entrance is the only entrance you can use to enter the Capitol building. Don't use any other door, even if Capitol Police hold the door open for you. That is a trap. As we walked along the National Mall, an event called Rededicate 250 was being set up for the next day, one of many events planned in DC for America's semi-quincentennial this year. This spring and summer is a great time to visit Washington, D.C. to take part in some of the festivities. Speaking of that celebration, we found a mobile museum on the mall during our visit. It was free to enter, so we went in to check it out. This is one of several tractor trailers that will be touring the country throughout the rest of this year. They made great use of the limited space inside the trailer to tell the story of the Declaration of Independence, the Revolutionary War, and our history since then. By this point, it was lunchtime, so we stopped at a snack stand on the mall and got some hot dogs to refuel.
And then we walked over to the White House. We were a good distance away, but through the power of our camera's zoom lens, we got some okay footage. You can get free tours of the White House. Visit the address on your screen to read about how to schedule a tour in advance. If you are unable to get a tour booked because you're traveling last minute or because the tours are canceled for the day as a result of events taking place at the White House, you can visit the White House Visitor Center a few blocks away. This National Park Service site features a museum exhibit about life in the White House. There are artifacts from the White House collection to see, as well as interactive elements, interpretive panels, and a 14-minute documentary from past residents of the White House talking about what living and working in the People's House was like. There's also a gift shop with plenty of cool White House souvenirs. In addition to street festivals, we also commonly run into protest marches when we visit Washington, D.C. During this visit, it was Iranian Americans protesting against the political execution of protesters in Iran by their own government. The march ended up at the World War I Memorial, which was one of the places we had on the schedule to visit today, but there wasn't much we could see once it filled up, so we'll have to revisit that memorial in a future video. We did get to see the World War II Memorial, though. As you walk towards the memorial, you pass walls with bronze depictions of the war experience. There are 56 granite pillars, one for each U.S. state and territory who supported the war effort. There are 2 arches on opposite sides of the memorial, one representing the Atlantic Theater and the other representing the Pacific Theater of the war. On the opposite side of the entrance into the memorial is the Freedom Wall, which visually depicts the price of freedom. There are 4,048 stars on this wall. Each star represents 100 American military deaths during the war, which totaled over 400,000. The center of the memorial is a fountain pool. Visitors are allowed to sit at the edge of the fountain with their feet in the water in honor of the American survivors of the war, many of whom celebrated in the fountains of Europe at the end of the war. Nearby, there is a plaque called A Prayer for the Nation. This plaque features the text of President Franklin Roosevelt's prayer for our military on D-Day, one of the most significant Allied victories in the Second World War.
So we leave the 1940s and head to a memorial for a war that took place in the early 1950s, the Korean War. The focal point of the Korean War Veterans Memorial is made up of 19 larger-than-life stainless steel statues, each over 7 feet tall, representing 14 soldiers from the U.S. Army, 3 Marines, 1 Navy corpsman, and 1 Air Force Forward Air Observer. There's also a granite wall with pictures of veterans from the war sandblasted into the stone. Nearby is a pool of remembrance, which has a wall above it inscribed with the phrase, "Freedom is not free." Around the perimeter of the memorial, there's a listing of American troops who died in the Korean War, along with the names of several thousand South Koreans who died in the war while fighting under U.S. command. A short walk away is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. As we walked up, we saw the 3 servicemen statues facing the black granite memorial walls, which list the names of Americans confirmed dead or missing in action from the Vietnam War. They're listed in the order they were lost. There's a book nearby where you can look up the location of a particular name on the wall if you had relatives or friends who passed away in the war. This wall is a sobering look at the cost of war and a place of remembrance for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice on behalf of their country. Nearby is the Vietnam Women's Memorial, honoring the women who served, mostly as nurses, doctors, administrative personnel, or intelligence officers in the Vietnam War. Surrounding the statue are 8 trees planted in remembrance of the 8 American servicewomen, all nurses, who died in the war. Their names are included on the wall, along with the rest of those Americans lost in Vietnam. In addition to the various war memorials, we also visited some monuments dedicated to individuals who played an important role in U.S. history. We'll start with the Washington Monument, a 555-foot obelisk honoring American founding father George Washington, the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army in the Revolutionary War, and of course, the first president of the new nation after the war. You can get tickets to enter the monument and ride the elevator to the top. You'll see great views of DC and an exhibit about the monument. Those tickets are only $1 per person at recreation.gov. But tickets are released 30 days in advance and are often sold out in a matter of minutes. Of course, you can visit the monument and see the outside of it for free, as we did on our recent visit.
Next, we are going to show you the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, in honor of the 3rd President and the influential founding father who was the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. The memorial features a 19-foot statue of Jefferson that is currently being refurbished, so we couldn't really see it, but here's a picture of what it looks like from the National Park Service website. Well-known quotes from Jefferson line the walls inside the memorial. It appeared to be prom night in DC when we visited, as we ran into lots of people dressed for prom at both this monument and the next one we are going to show you, which is the Lincoln Memorial. If you're enjoying this tour of our nation's capital, do us a favor and click the like button to help the channel grow. Stairs rise up to the memorial from the reflecting pool, which is currently under reconstruction as settling soil has cracked the pool, causing loss of a significant amount of water. But as you go up the stairs, you reach the central hall of the memorial with our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln, looking toward the reflecting pool with a look of contemplation on his face. On one of the side walls of the memorial is carved the text of President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, and on the opposite side is the full text of his second inaugural address after being re-elected near the end of the Civil War. The Lincoln statue took 4 years to complete. The sculptors had one of his hands clenched, representing his determination to end the war. The other is more relaxed to signify his usually compassionate nature. In addition to being a memorial to a martyred president who oversaw the emancipation of 4 million enslaved people, this was also the site of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech on August 28, 1963, an iconic moment in the American civil rights history. The next memorial is the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial. He was the 32nd President of the United States and led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. He was the only president to serve more than 2 terms. He died in office just months into his 4th term. His tenure changed the presidency and the country in a number of significant ways. A statue of FDR's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, is also included. She was the first U.S. delegate to the United Nations. We are closing out our day with a stop by the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. The statue of Dr. King features him having emerged from 2 large pieces of granite behind him, symbolizing the Mountain of Despair. This is a reference to a line from Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, where he referenced a stone of hope coming out of a mountain of despair. Famous quotes from Dr. King are carved into marble walls. This is the first memorial on the National Mall that honors an African American and is a worthy remembrance of Dr. King's legacy. The footage you have just seen is the result of us walking around DC for 9 hours. It was really inspirational to see the documents, the war memorials, and the monuments that remind us of our country's history. And except for buying lunch, nothing we did on this day in DC cost us any money at all. There are a lot more free things to do in DC. There are other government buildings you can tour, and, of course, the Smithsonian Museums in DC, including the Smithsonian Zoo, and all of these are free to visit. We definitely recommend a trip to the nation's capital this year in honor of America's 250th birthday. Click the links at the end of this video to see videos of other free places we have visited in DC. And be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so we can see you the next time we're traveling through.